slightly cautious of them. So, tools and frameworks are useful. I use them, yes. But from my experience, I've realized that many clients, they rarely unfold themselves in neat stages. And sometimes, if we hold a model or a framework tightly, we stop responding to what is actually emerging in that conversation. So, my approach today is more eclectic, more fluid. I think less in terms of which model or which tool should I use, and more in terms of what will actually help this person think differently, act differently, or see themselves differently once this conversation finishes. So my that's really what I endeavor to do. Yes, I find myself using some simple practical approaches. Some of you may be aware of it, the pattern spotting approach. So here, what I try and do is help the client notice recurring patterns, not just what happened, but what keeps happening. Let me give you an example. A client says, my team never takes ownership, right? So what what happens when we explore? There are some patterns that show up. Is this client rescuing too quickly? Is there over explaining? He's talking or she's talking about firefighting for the team. Patterns that may be unintentionally creating the team's dependency on them. So, bringing that awareness to the client, helping them change behaviors, is what I believe moves towards real growth. But since you asked this question about tools, there's another approach that I thought would be useful to share here. I call it the thread energy meaning approach. I know it's not a formal framework, but it is what I privately think of. The thread, what keeps returning, the energy, where does the client come alive? Where is the client shutting down? Where is the hesitation, the softness, the intensity? And then the meaning. What does this situation represent for them beyond the actual situation itself? Or what is the deeper meaning hidden below those words? And here again, I can offer an example. So a client says, I'm struggling to delegate, right? So at surface level, that looks like a capability issue. But if I follow the thread, the energy, the meaning, it may actually become fear of losing relevance, identity, identity tied to being needed, maybe, perhaps, fear of disappointing others, pressure to appear competent, and boom. Suddenly, we are no longer just solving a productivity problem. We are exploring the human experience underneath that behavior. And I know because this is a panel and people want to hear our personal experiences, I remember coaching a leader who initially wanted help preparing for a difficult performance conversation with a team member. So naturally, the session began, what's the objective? What's the outcome? What's happening right now? What option? The classic grow model coaching territory, right? But as we explored further, he said, you know what? I think I avoid difficult conversations because I'm terrified people will stop liking me. And in that moment, I realized I needed to let go of the tool. The session stopped being about communication and became a conversation about approval, about identity, about emotional courage. So, Fatma and everyone here, tools and frameworks, in my opinion, help open the door. But presence helps us recognize when we have entered a different room. So I consider tools, frameworks like a river bank, it gives direction, it gives containment, but the actual coaching conversation still needs to flow naturally. And in the interest of time, I do respect that there are other presidents who are going to come on here. For the purpose, I just created a simple infographic that I'm going to post in the chat. For those who may find it useful, some of the practical tools that I may choose to use impromptu without focusing. So really, thank you so much. We can go on talking about this, but I really hope that helped. Thank you so much. I'm posting that now here.
Thank you, Carolann. It's very inspiring and deep meaning what you explain, your methodology of thrilled energy and what's behind it and what's hidden. And I like what you say that if let's say, if the criteria of the session or the core competencies, for example, is looking of the flow of the session, we have to let it go and keep the flows going to see what's behind. Thank you very much, Caroline.
Thank you for summarizing that so beautifully. Thank you.
Yeah. I like your tone also. That goes, the tone of your voice keep the conversation flow, actually.
Thank you.
Let's go with the Franda. Franda, I would like to know what make the good conversation. What make it distinguished? And we would like to hear from you, from your experience and specialization as a deep conversation.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Carolann, for actually starting this off in such a powerful way. Sorry, I got kicked out for a second ago, but I'm back now. So what makes a conversation a good conversation in coaching is transformation.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk to someone all day long, but if no transformation takes place, we're not having a coaching conversation, we're having a coffee conversation. So when I'm thinking about how I want my client to feel that we've had a coaching conversation, the first thing I want to do is get out of that headspace, the analysis, the logic, the reasoning, the whys, the because. So many things that when we're thinking about how we want to make a change, when we stay here, that's all we do is think about how we want to make a change. And then next week, we still think about how we want to make a change. And then next month, we still think about how we want to make that exact same change. Why? Because that change stays here. It stays in logic. So we think it and we overthink it and then we underthink it. And then we think we should not think it. Because we keep it in our head, in a head space. But when we take that one little thought, that one little change, that one little meaningful thing, and we say, let me stop thinking about it and see how it feels. How does it feel for me? How would it feel if I make this change? What would my heart space say to me? How would my heart space sing? Because I've transformed something. Because I can write down logic and analysis and all of that, but I can't write down what my heart feels. But when my heart makes that change, my heart says, we're not going back. We're not going back there. Logic may say we need to go back there to analyze it one more time just to make sure we're going in the right direction. But if I'm coaching someone and they start to get to that point where things in them, not just the words that they say changes, but that wonderful, beautiful heart space changes where I see even the color of their face changes. Why? Because their whole body has just embraced this transformation. And guess what? As a coach, I really don't need to say anything else. The only thing I need to say after that is, where do you need to go now? And how can I support you? I don't need to ask any more questions. I don't need to move them back to logic. I don't need to make them analyze their action plan or any of that. What I want them to do is stay in that feeling, because that's where the transformation takes place. So stay in that feeling and tell me how you want this feeling to be sustained beyond this coaching session. And if they do that, we're not going to have a next conversation about the same topic. Our next conversation is going to be about, wow, can we do that again? That was so transformational that I want to continue that as your client. So when you talk about a deep conversation goes under the surface, does not look at what these conscious intentions that a client has, but really goes into that programming, that unconscious programming that makes them want to make a change and that they own that change. And if I can do that, or we can do that as a coach, we've done our job and we've done it well. And we don't have to explore anymore because we've done what we're supposed to do. So that's my answer to your question, Fatema.
Thank you. I like the way that you anchor the concept and you just get step by step to it. Yes, we have to own the change and we have to unlock the loop of the change that unlock our think and our mindset, and let's feel it. Let's put it in our heart. Then we see ourselves. Do we want that real or just the loop of thinking, as you said? And I like the way you said that transformation. So it's a like indicator of the conversation. Does that transformation happen or not? Because we will, yeah.
So the interesting thing about transformation is it doesn't belong to the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is, it's not really the coach's business. It's only the client's business.
Yeah.
If the coach makes it their business, then it becomes about how well did I do in the coaching session. But if that transformation is in the client, that's the part that's sustainable. Right. So when I'm talking about transformation, I'm talking about the transformation of that person that my client is looking at when they look in the mirror and they see and feel something different. So
Yeah.
I hope I answered you okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to process what you are saying. And I like, once you said this is not the coach business, it's just you are supervising the coach. And you have the courage to tell the coach as a supervisor also. It's not your business. While the coach is trying to lead the conversation and trying to control the change. So this is the small line that we notice from your talk, from your speech, the difference between the coaching and the supervision. Now, thank you, Franda. We will go to Coach Nada. How coaching conversation create real impact? And I know you are traveling from GCC country to other GCC country as we are GCC. Can you tell us first, how can the conversation tell us the impact or lead to the impact? And let's hear stories from your side.
Thank you, Fatma. Thank you, everybody. I just want to say how truly pleasure to be with such leaders and coaches here in this GCC panel. And yes, I believe coaching conversations create impact because they go beyond performance metrics and address what is happening beneath the surface. In many organizations, leaders are trained to focus on strategies and executions, results, but often the real challenge is the emotion. So, lack of trust, the fear of speaking up, the misalignment, the burnout, or communication breakdowns. So, a meaningful conversation, a meaningful coaching conversation creates a space where people can pause, reflect, and become more aware of how they lead the communication, how they react under pressure, and influence others. At leadership levels, I've seen coaching help leaders move from control to trust, from reacting to responding, from from managing people to truly leading them. And for the team level, the impact becomes visible when conversations improve psychological safety. People start listening differently. Collaboration improves, accountability becomes healthier, difficult conversation even become possible without defensiveness. Sometimes biggest transformation is not a dramatic change. It's a leader becoming more emotionally aware. A team finally feeling that they are heard, somebody's there hearing them, or people reconnecting to shared purpose again. And really that where sustainable impacts begin. I would love to share a story, honestly. One of the leaders I worked with, um, that leader appears highly successful. Strong title, respected, professionally, high performing team. So, as all leaders. But internally, he was exhausted, emotionally disconnected, and constantly operating in survival mode. During one of the coaching conversations, after a long silence and pause, he said, I don't think my team is afraid of failing. They are actually afraid of me. And that moment changed everything. Not because we were solutioning or looking for advice or something. No, because awareness entered the room through a coaching conversation. For the first time, he recognized how pressure, stress, and emotional fatigue were shaping the way he communicated to lead his team. From there, the work shifted, everything shifted. He began participating in emotional regulation, listening differently, creating more open dialogue with his team, and allowing vulnerability instead of constant control. Months later, he shared that not only had engagement with the team improved, but the relationship, even at home, has changed with his family. And that's make coaching powerful. Sometimes one conversation does not just change performance, it changes identity, relationships, culture, and the way people experience each other every day. So, and I have a lot of stories, Fatma, you know that.
Yeah, I know. I follow your stories every day. As you said, thank you, Coach Nada. As you said, the movement once the movement happened, the conversation happened, and actually, I believe from your speech as if you mentor the reaction from the people that indicators that the conversation happened. So it's about the response from the people, whether they are burnout or outside the room. And actually, you strongly with your story, you strongly mentioned something that once the COO or C-suite witness himself, so the people is not afraid of something, they are afraid of me. So the conversation start from how we witness ourselves, be a witness of ourselves, right?
True. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Now, can we have questions from the audience regarding the meaningful conversation and how it's reflect in coaching or in a professional our professional workplace? Let's interact together, please. Anyone would like to ask? Yes, Muhammad?
I want to comment that perhaps it doesn't really matter if it's C-suite or a child. A meaningful conversation is going to strike some awareness within the coach and within the client, perhaps at the same time, perhaps at different times. It's still meaningful. And perhaps that the importance and the meaning of it is coming from the perspective of the client for what it means to them, speaking about something the first time or change of perspective happens at their system.
Great. So you mean when it's the awareness happen, where is the shift happen, or as Coach Franda said, once the transformation happen, we will notice the meaningful conversation, right?
Yes, and reading through the nonverbal, or the person openly shares and says, wow, something is changing. And I think that's the beauty of coaching.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of coaching. As a coach, you have this huge satisfaction when this takes place.
Yeah. Muhammad, I just, if I take the permission to ask you, where are you in this world of coaching and the conversation?
Morocco.
Sorry?
North Africa, Morocco.
And are you using coaching?
Yes.
Or practicing coaching?
Yes.
Where did you see the meaningful conversation and coaching, especially?
I think every coaching conversation is meaningful.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you, Muhammad.
Welcome.
We have a question here from Noura. We will go there then for Maha. Noura asks, what would be the best way to measure, to know if my conversation is really meaningful? Who would like to answer this from the president? Yes, Carolann.
Well, I would like to think if the conversation has led the client to think differently and take action, then in some way that conversation was meaningful.
Mm-hmm. So the action, the thinking of the action.
Thinking and taking action, because I call thinking and not acting intellectual entertainment. You just have an aha, you have an insight, but you're not doing anything about it. You're just entertaining yourself in your head. So for me, a meaningful conversation is when someone thinks differently from before the conversation to after, and then follows through on that with a meaningful action. So the word meaningful comes. Yeah.
Thank you, Carolann.
That's meaning to them, really.
Yeah, from the insight to the action.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Franda, we have our friend here, Maha Abdurrahman, would like to ask.
Hi guys. So talking about meaningful conversations, and I'm sure a lot of the coaches have seen this scenario when your client comes in and just starts venting and just wants to vent. So first question, how do you make that meaningful for the client? Or is that meaningful enough? He leaves just with a lighter burden on him if he just vented. So does it have to be steered somewhere, or is that meaningful enough for him or her? That was the question.
Thank you. So I humbly assume that you want Coach Franda just.
Anyone? I mean, you're all great presidents here. Anyone?
Can we hear from your side, Franda, please? Or then after that, we will go to Carolann. Yeah.
So, venting is simply that, but it's important, right? And if my client is venting, and excuse me for being very technical with this, right? If there's a pipeline that needs to burst in order for action to take place and things to move, it has to vent, right? If you go to systems that pressure builds up, the only way that the pressure can be released is if it's vented. So it's okay for my client to vent. They need that in order for that pressure to be released. And then once it is released, now we can move, but it's not going to move if it's stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell my client, no, I don't want you to vent. I don't want you to tell me how you're feeling or anything like that. I'm doing a great, big, huge disservice. Because now I'm asking them to act instead of to be. I'm asking them to do what they're supposed to do as a client instead of just be a person that really needs to let some things out here. So that's okay. Do I want them to do that for 2 hours? No, probably not. But do I want them to have that space that maybe they've not been given, particularly in executive coaching, right? That space that they've not been given in any other place that's safe enough to be able to just go ahead and say it. Yeah, I want them to have that time. Because once that's out, now we can move forward. Because that thought's gone now. So that's my answer, Fatema. Thank you. And thank you, Maha, for your question.
Thank you. Carolann?
Yeah, no, thank you. This is so typical. Venting, I'll keep my answer short. A coach is not a rent-a-friend. And I'm building on what Franda is saying. Venting is definitely, you've got to let the client vent. What is our responsibility is asking the client, what have you now made space for? So you've vented, you've given all of this out. What are you making space for now?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't move the client there, we are just being a very expensive friend.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Carolann. Sausan, you have a question?
Yes, hi. Thank you very much, Fatema, and thank you for everyone. It's very, very a real pleasure to be here. And I have a question, or maybe I'm curious. I want to ask Franda, because I feel what she said just touched my heart so much, and everyone here honestly did. But Franda, if you can share with us, please. I want the aha moment in a story or in a coaching session, the aha moment, but for you, not for the client. Sometimes we sit in a coaching session and we get the aha moment, and okay, so this conversation is teaching me to reach to people in this way, or maybe I should have made this pause now or asked this question. So the aha moment that really impacted you in a session more than the clients. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you really asked the wrong person about aha moments. And I'll tell you why. And anybody that's done training with me already knows what I'm getting ready to say. Aha moments are for Oprah. Okay. Aha moments are totally for Oprah, right? Because what is it? It's a moment. Moments are not sustainable, right? Learning, transformation, feeling, change, discovering, developing, transforming who I am. Those are sustainable. But a moment, so yeah, you asked the wrong person about a moment. But if I had to say something that has changed for me in a coaching session is when I learned to listen. Not listening to hear, not listening to respond, not even listening with my ears, but with my eyes and with my heart and with my full body. When I learned how to do that, that's when I knew I was there. So if I had to have an aha moment per se, other than Oprah's, that would be it.
Thank you so much for your inspiration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the aha moment is when we learn. Coach Ghassan?
Yes, good evening, everybody.
Good
My
evening.
question is to Fernanda also. She said that the transformation is not the responsible for the coach. I know that, but we are coaches. We have to take the client into a journey to start to be aware of his situation, then convert it to يعني to a goal and to take an action. So is there any transformation can be inside the journey of the coaching, 6 sessions or 8 sessions?
I'm sorry, was that for me, Fatima? Or?
I think she said if from the beginning, yes.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
asking
yeah.
about the transformation and the inside the session.
The one thing that I really encourage any coach to remember is that beautiful definition of coaching. Coach is partner. We partner. That's just that simple. So if the client makes a change or a client transform or a client does any of those things, it's because of a partnership, not because of a guidance, not because of a leading, not because of the question that I ask or whatever. We're partnering together on a journey, but that journey is the journey of the client. So my definition of coaching is that coaches partner with the client to change the perception of their current reality. So we only change how they see it, not how they do it. So if you're thinking about the number of sessions and all of that stuff, think about how are they seeing the life that they're leading? Because if they have a rotten husband, they're going to have a rotten husband after the session too. But how they handle that person, how they talk to that person, how they feel is the thing that can change. They're not going to change anything outside of that. The current reality stays the same. But how they handle it and what they do with it, to me, is where the transformation takes place. But I'd love to hear from some of the other presidents as well on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Alia. Alia. Question from Alia. No. Nada, I would like to ask you how we feel about regarding the feeling, the emotion, how we feel that the conversation is going to the right path, is going to the what we are somewhere we can track. Or sometimes the coach said, I have intuition. How do we practice the intuition? How do we feel the right conversation?
That's a great one, Fatma. So there must be a way of a shift in your mindset when you go through the conversations. I mean, one of the biggest inner shifts I had to make as a coach was letting go of the need to help, rescue, support. So, and that was really earlier in my journey. And when I realized that deeper coaching conversation are not created through fixing, it's created through presence. Here, when you can touch the feeling, when you are there for your client, when you really carefully active listening, silencing, posing presence for them, giving them the space, building the trust, witnessing the shift, the transformation, as Franda said. So, having said that, to feel is to be there. If you want to make sure that the feeling is right, make sure that you are there, fully present there with your client. And this is how I see it, really.
Wonderful. Thank you. Again, we have Alia. Alia, you want to ask? I just saw your hand. Yes, Carolann.
Thank you. I just wanted to build on what Nada just said, giving the space. What I realized as I moved through my coaching journey is, initially early in my coaching journey, I was focused on me doing well. Am I asking good questions? Am I creating value? Am I helping the client progress? But as I moved through this journey, I realized something. The client also has performance anxiety. The client also wants to show up like they are self-aware. They want to show up like they are emotionally intelligent. They want to show up with the right answers to the questions I'm asking. And I realized this, we keep talking about savings, making space, creating space. For me, creating space is when the client feels so safe that they feel they don't need to make this up. They feel that they can be as honest, as brutally transparent as possible. Because that's when I notice this person is dropping their guard now. It may happen, and that's, we talk about this chemistry and but it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. But for me, that was really something that I realized I can now sense when a client seems ready with the answers, and that's the trust. So the trust, the safety, it's only when that happens that meaning actually comes alive, because otherwise a client ends up even believing what they're telling the coach. They start believing their answers. They start believing. So it's about helping the client stop the performance in a coaching session. And that, when Nada was saying space, and I was like, yes, this is it. So thank you.
Thank you, Carolann. It's all about, I think, the present and unlocking what is blocking the conversation. Thank you all. So I would like to ask a question for the audience in chat after we hear this wonderful conversation and answer from the president. What do you think as a coach, or what do coaches need to let go of to create the meaningful conversation? What do coaches need to let go to make meaningful conversation? What do we have to let go as coaches in the chat room? Ego, yes. Ego and expectation. We have to let go for the good conversation or meaningful conversation. We have to let go ego and expectation. Ego. Tension. Proving value. Let go of the checklist and the true and present in the conversation. Letting go fixing mood. Oh. Create offers. My dear, such a meaningful session. Thank you. Thank you, Hamza. Well, by the end of this session, I would like to thank all the chapter president. I would like to thank you for your accepting, for your trust, for your collaboration, for your applying of the theme of the ICW week, the meaningful conversation. Thank you for your effort and being in our chapter Bahrain. We all thank you. And it's a great night that I witnessed today, that all of you as an expert audience, as coaches, to collaborate and join chapter Bahrain. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes,
Thank you.
it did.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Take care.
مع السلامة.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Fatima,
Yes.